Hey there, my gorgeous friends on the internet. Today's is an exciting show. We're gonna start talking about design patterns in JavaScript, starting off with Singleton. I can't believe in the past 7 years I haven't made a video about design patterns. It's these frameworks, I'm telling you, they're polluting our brains. They're important. Let's have a look. Get your popcorn. Why are you eating popcorn? It's 1 p.m. Let's see what the dealio is with these singletons. So I have two files here, an app.js and a singleton.js, and I link them here in my HTML. As you can see, they use a type module just so I can do some importing and exporting. But before we look at the singleton, I do want to show you some things about classes because I do feel like it's a bit important to understand that. So I'll just create a class. So class, again, is just like a template for creating an object. So let's say we're creating like a, what is it? Like a shopping bag. There we go. And each class is gonna have this constructor like that. And for now, let's just add a this.bag equals an empty array. And then we can go down here and actually instantiate that. So by using the new keyword, we can add a shopping bag like that. And if we console log that out, you're gonna see we have a new object with a property of bag on it. So when we call this new keyword, a couple of things happen essentially. A new object, a blank object gets generated for us. Not only that, this constructor function is going to start running and it's going to start associating all the different properties and assigning it to the newly created object. And this .bag is always going to reference the newly created object for us. All right, so we can add loads of different properties here. That's fine. As you can see, it pops up right there. So the advantage of this is that we can just generate new objects super quick and super easy. And we can also add dynamic values by adding different properties to this parameter. So maybe I can just add bag here. And rather than saying this.bag equals an array, I'll just say bag like that. So now here I can maybe pass in just one item in this shopping bag. I can do two, like Chalky. Oh no. Now also be aware when you're passing down methods here, so I'm just doing it in the constructor. But when you're doing it in the constructor, when you call the new keyword, remember a new method is gonna get assigned to that object. So that's gonna take up some space in your memory somewhere, and they're both different. So you're allocating memory to all of these different methods, even though essentially the code is the same. So if I do a comparison down here and say console log and just take a look at bag.getBag and compare that to bag2.getBag, you're gonna see that we're gonna get false. So that's not too good. So rather than adding it in the constructor, what I'm gonna do is just add it down here. So getBag like that, and I'll just paste in the same code. So how come this equals true now? Well, it equals true because we're not setting a method to each individual object. The method is set once on the class, and we can reference this method, even though our bag, like if I console log bag out for you, it only has the array, right? This is all we set up in the constructor. However, with JavaScript prototypal inheritance, every object comes with a prototype, and if it doesn't find something that it needs, it's going to look up the prototype chain and it's going to find it there. So in this case, right, we generated an object from this class and we're left with this bag. However, since it was generated from this class, the prototype here is the next one up. And we have get bag there. So JavaScript is automatically just going to look up the prototype and get that method for you. This is great. Now we can make as many bags as we want, and we're not duplicating methods and using up our memory. God damn it, are you going to talk about singletons already? Yes, I am. So let's make a singleton out of this. So what a singleton essentially allows you to do is create one instance, only one instance, and you can use that instance throughout your application. Ooh, I wonder where we can use that. State management, does that sound familiar to you? Well, that's how they do it. So let's go back here. I'll clean up this constructor and I'll go to the top and I'll just create an instance variable like that. All right, this does not hold anything for now. Let's clear out all this code as well from here. And what I'll do is I'll make an if statement here and I'll just check if an instance of this class already exists. And if it does, I'll just throw a new error saying this instance already exists. Otherwise, what I can do is set that instance to this. After the constructor, I can define like a get bag if I want, the same way we did, console log this.bag. And what else I'm gonna do is actually go up here to the top and do a this.bag equals to an empty array. So now the fantastic thing about this is it's only gonna create that object once, and if it already exists, it's just gonna skip this whole instantiation process for us. And finally, what we can do here at the bottom, I'll just call this Singleton shopping, like that. I'm gonna call it object.freeze on it. So this object.freeze essentially is gonna stop you from changing the existing properties on this shopping bag. All right, so if I do a singleton.bag and I'll try to change this to something else, as you can see, it's gonna stop you. So now that we have all of this set up, I can go down here and do an export default singleton, like that. And now I can use this anywhere in my file. So if I go to my app.js, import, let's do singleton shopping, like that. And make sure you add the .js here at the end, otherwise it's not gonna work. So I can get the singleton shopping, I can get my bag if I want, and as you can see, it's empty. I can go down here and add another one. Let's say add item, and I'll just pass in some chocolate. Cool. Do we have an emoji for that? Thank you. Save. Okay, and then I can call get bag down here, and as you can see, we have one item. But since this is in a singleton, it's amazing because I can just make new files and use it anywhere. Kind of like a state management, right? So pay.js. So let's say I go here. Let's link this to my index.html as well. So I'll just go down here and say script source dot slash, oops, we'll do pay. It's gonna be a type of module. Cool, so now I'll go in my pay, I'll import the singleton here as well. And let's say I want to add 2 more items in here. So as you can see on save, we have 3 items here when we call it an app.js at the end, because this code is going to run before the app.js code, so it will only make sense. So what are some goods and bads about singletons? Where the really good part is that you can just create an object that's reusable across your application, and that is going to save loads of memory space for you. But the disadvantages are like, they're not good to use everywhere. They're good in certain situations and identifying situations where they might be helpful. That's the real tricky part right there, actually trying to figure out where it's useful. Because once you implement a singleton, it's quite hard to go back and change that because you're spreading this across your application. So it's like a global object, right, that gets used everywhere. And testing for that also becomes quite tricky because if you have a bug there, I mean, your whole thing is going to crash down and burn. You are like globally polluting the scope a little bit, right? It's a global variable that's going to be there. So anyway, let's refactor this using just objects, because in JavaScript, you could just create an object without the class keyword. So let's go to our instance here, and I'm just going to remove this instance. I'm not even going to need this. Actually, you know what? Let's also remove the class, the constructor, and everything. I'll just keep this at the bottom here, actually. The object.freeze and the export default, that can stay. Everything else can go. If I define a counter here and set it to 0, or maybe a shopping bag, this variable is going to be private. It's not going to be accessible from outside, from my app, from my pay.js, just because of the module pattern. This will stay private here unless I explicitly export it or I add it in my object. But I'll just define it up here as an empty array. And now down here, I can create a shopping bag, which is just going to be an object. And here I can do a get bag if I want to, which is going to just, oops. There we go. That's how you do it. We're just going to do a console log and say the same thing. This item has shopping the length, like that. And now here, we don't actually need to use the new keyword, so we can just say shopping bag like that. Cool, so there we go, item has 0. That's perfect. We're missing add item, so let's just add it in there. And then I'm just gonna push in the new item like that. And as you can see, it works the same way. So we can simplify this a ton. All right, so that's it. That's the Singleton pattern. Hope you learned something new and hope you have a good understanding now of how people actually go about building out libraries and their software. Yeah, that's it. Drop a sub, drop a like. I'll go play Baldur's Gate 3.